Hola a todos, bienvenidos a otro fantástico y emocionante episodio de Gracias por Preguntar. Estoy aquí hoy con Gabriela Castillo y Carolina Persa y el episodio de hoy va a ser en inglés. Si lo quieren ver en español, por favor, diríjanse a nuestro canal de YouTube. Vamos a poner el link en la descripción para que lo puedan ver con los títulos en español, pero este episodio por facilidad lo vamos a hacer en inglés. Así que, welcome Carolina, welcome Gaby to another episode of Gracias por Preguntar. Thank you for asking our podcast. We're so grateful that you're joining us, that you accept our invitation to be here. So how are you guys?
Thank you.
I'm really good. Thank you, Catalina, for being here. Sorry, I just interrupted you, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Andrea, for inviting me. Thank you, Gabi. It's very nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too.
For having me here. It's a pleasure.
So we were just chatting, our pre-show chat. We always do it with Gabi to know like what we're going to talk about, what's the topic, what's the latest gossip in our lives. And then we just jump into it.
We always do that. It's just our routine, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah. And before we started, we were just talking with Carolina about how she's an access facilitator, an access certified facilitator, sorry. And she's also a relationships done different facilitator. She's on the road to becoming a job business facilitator, and she's a maestro as well. So, wow, Carolina. And bar facilitator, of course. And so
what a resume.
Exactly. So our topic for today is what is an infinite possibility. So I want to know, how did you found Access and how did you came to this infinite possibilities of what these crazy tools do?
How I came to Access? Through magic, through asking questions, I guess.
But there was a friend or something, right?
It wasn't a cognitive choice. It was when COVID started, I realized that it's going to be a big change in the world. And I realized I cannot do what I was doing before until then. So I asked the universe for what is available for me. And was an energy that I've always had since I was very little. I knew that there was going to be something that I will be doing later in life. And I didn't know that something was going to happen already. I thought like in maybe 5 to 10 years. And so I asked what, and then I went through linearity, what this reality, what we know. And I said, I'm going to open a coffee shop. And somebody said, that's not going to make you a lot of money. And especially during COVID, no matter how much you like that.
No.
And I went, okay, I will be doing real estate. And I started taking a course. And I was very excited during the first week. And then I was less and less and less. I still wanted to finish it. And I realized I'm never going to do that. And then I went into a state of relaxation. I said, okay, well, maybe I'll keep on doing what I've been doing. And then it's when the universe opened up this possibility for me. And I went to a friend of mine, told me about a friend who did this, who was a healer and did something that was very relaxing. So I went and I had a bar session, an access bar session. And right away, like I felt the energies moving through my body and like things were already shifting. So I asked her, how can I learn to do this? So I took a class from her and then I asked, how can I teach this? And then like one step led to another. And I was ever since I've been following the energy. So I don't cognitively know what I'm doing. I have the energy of it. But still, I cannot tell, it's going to be this outcome, because it's not an outcome, it's a journey. And I'm enjoying it so much that I don't even care what's going to be,
Nice.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. I love that story. Like, I'm going to do something that's not going to make me any money, but it will allow me to drink coffee. Like, that's a solid choice.
No, but the lady said, it's not going to make you money. I said, then forget it. Because I know that I want to make money. I'm not here to suffer or to be have little money. That was.
Oh, I thought it was for the fun of it, actually.
It has to be for money. Money is fun for me.
Yeah, I was thinking I was thinking about in terms of doing the job at the coffee shop. I thought it was like gonna be fun for you, but then I just realized that you were going in another direction, which is also fine. But it's really interesting that you came up or get this information and change everything in your environment just because of COVID, I guess, because COVID made you change all of our daily lives, I guess. And it's really interesting that you kept on going, because many people were really afraid in that time to make that kind of shifts in their lives. I mean, it's really interesting, and it's really, I mean, it's amazing that you just jump at the invitation, at the opportunity that you had.
Well, I am very adventurous, and for me, things like that, like COVID was probably the biggest change ever in my life, other than the fall of communism, the collapse of communism in 1989. So, because I grew up in Romania, communist country, and when that happened, I was 15 at the time, and it was like, that was the biggest change ever. And then COVID, when COVID started, I recognized the similar energy, and I said, well, this is the time for a great possibility for me. This is, I know that I cannot ever go back to what I was doing. I cannot ever be in an office, so I demanded a change. I demanded of me, and then I was a request to the universe. And because I'm so adventurous, for me, it was so exciting. And I remember I was telling, because a friend of mine reached out to me to see how I was doing. And I said, well, I'm doing great. I was working from still in 2020, and it was so amazing. My body got relaxed. And when my friend asked me, how are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm doing great. And she said, oh, I hope you don't mean it. So many people are dying. You're telling me that you are doing great. And I just didn't respond to that, because I realized, do I have to suffer because everyone chooses to suffer? You know, and I went with what I knew, still trying to figure it out, but the universe took me to wherever what I asked for, you know?
Yeah, one of the things that really pinged my attention was like, money is fun. And what I got with what you were saying is like, money is joyful for you. It's like you lit up and all your body went like, oh, money, it's fun for me. And that honestly is not a common thing. Like when people talk about money, when people mention money, they go like, I don't even want to see it. I don't want to acknowledge it. I just have to use it well because that's what we do. But like they don't have this joyful, fun energy with money. So were you always like that, or is something that you learned? Because now that you mentioned that you grew up in a communist country, like what was your relationship, or what do you knew about money back then? Because that was like a whole different planet, and now you live in Houston, which is like totally 180 from a communist country. You know what I mean? You went like, I'm not gonna do this shit anymore.
It's America, Andrea. It's America, so it's literally the opposite of what Romania was in that time, I guess. Because Romania was part of Russia, right?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't part of the Soviet Union. It was by itself, but it was right next to where the Soviet Union started. And it started in Moldova, which is right at the border, and Ukraine, right at the border to Romania.
So you had a lot of influence from there.
Yeah, but there is a very interesting story, because it was
tell us.
Yeah, it was the communist Romania, and then it was my hometown. It's 4,000.
Wasn't?
For my hometown, where about 4,000 people living there, and so it was something between a village and a town.
Yeah.
And it was in the mountains, not in the mountains, in a valley. So we had high hills and then the mountains starting from there, and it in southern Transylvania. So basically in the center of Romania. And it was this place where the climate was a little bit cooler than everything around. And you know, in communism, they would take people's land away. But there, because of the climate, which wasn't really very different from 2 miles away, they left us alone. They left our land. And So we were imagine America, a little piece of America, capitalist town in the middle of the country. And our reality was completely different from what you would see 10 miles away. So 10 miles away, people would live in scarcity and they would go to a grocery store at 3 a.m. in the morning, stay there in line and wait for the store to open at 5 o'clock to buy milk and bread. And we were growing wheat and growing corn and growing vegetables and fruits, and we'd have berries on the hills around. So my mom would make marmalade. So everything was homemade, the most delicious, the most orgasmic living you could imagine. I never ate anywhere.
For sure.
So, and the year I went to high school, so I literally left that town.
Yeah.
2 months later, so basically I started in September, and then in October, starting the fall of communism, starting with the Berlin Wall, and then
okay.
a few months later. So basically, the moment I left, it was gone. It was all the end of communism.
But that's like really
cool
and unique. I don't know. Maybe it was, I guess, because
let's call it
never experienced really like communist.
So what did I know to be born there and not somewhere where I would suffer? So even though my parents didn't have money, everyone there had abundance. You know, we had food, it was absolutely amazing. And then going to high school and college, I didn't have money, but I never suffered, you know? So there was always abundance, even though there was not money. And then I knew that later in life, I would travel wherever I want. I would have the life I wanted to have. There was never in my world that I would not have money. And that was the thing of view that I didn't buy anybody else's point of view, you know, because I knew that abundance was possible. And I knew that I could create everything I desire.
Wow. You know what
Never
I
about that.
Yeah. And you know what I absolutely adore is that it's this phrase that I had no money, but I had abundance. Like they are not like, you know, like they're not one word. They're not one creation. Like you can be very, very, very abundant and have no cash, but that doesn't mean that you're poor. So that is like an infinite possibility that we can invite people to, because if we start to break down and separate where we have made money and abundance like one, like what and how can a life change?
Yeah. Then speaking about that, what you just said, I have no money, but I still can create without money. There is another very interesting story that I wasn't even aware of. It was beginning of 2000s. I was in Hamburg, at the University of Hamburg. I was doing a PhD there. And I was there, I was living with my boyfriend at the time, and later my husband, now my ex-husband. We were all there, was 2001. And everybody in our group at university was going on a trip to South Korea to acquire seismic data in the Sea of Okhotsk between South Korea, Russia, and Japan. And I was going, like everybody except for me, because I was not in the project that they were on. And I said one thing to myself, not to anybody else. I said, oh my God, everybody is going and I'm staying here by myself for a month. A week before the trip, our professor came to me and he said, this person from Romania, there was a common project between the University of Bucharest and the University of Hamburg and an institute in Russia, research institute. And he said, this person from Romania is not going. Do you want to go? So I ended up going on a research cruise. So I was there for 3 weeks, and then me and my boyfriend, we stayed there 10 more days, and we were on vacation in South Korea. I paid zero money for that trip. Zero.
Exactly.
It was one question. And it wasn't even a question, it was, everybody is going and I'm staying? What the fuck?
Yeah, but that what the fuck is like, universe, go ahead, show me the way.
Exactly. And I didn't have, there was no agenda, you know, there was no, oh, how do I make this work? There was nothing. It was like, really? I'm staying here? Come on, universe, deliver, please.
Yeah.
I had no expectations, right?
That too.
And I have so many stories like that, where without any money, I created some amazing things. And then with money, I created the same amazing things. You know, it's not about the money. It's never about the money.
I love
it's about
that.
your willingness, your desire, and your commitment to your life to go whatever it takes to create whatever you desire.
Well, can we chat a little bit more about that, whatever it takes? Because I think that most people, when you go like, oh, whatever it takes, they go like, but will I have to kill somebody? Will I have to be a prostitute? What would I have to do? Do I have to rob a bank? You know what I mean? They go to like these very quote unquote dark things in this reality, things that are being taught like a no. But can you expand on doing that, on whatever it takes?
I did some of that too, some resistance. We go to extremes sometimes, you know, and I know that I will go whatever it takes, what I desire. And sometimes I think that if people stay in my way, I have to kill them. And we don't always have to kill. No, I don't, but I have that first, you know,
Impulse.
Get out of my way thing.
Yeah.
What, like right now with the new space that has been created, and Andrea and I have been talked about this. I was in a Symphony of Possibilities class with Dr. Dane here in Houston. We opened this space to what if instead of creating from I'm gonna kill everybody that stays in my way to melting everyone's realities, you know, and be that change and be that inspiration and be the empowerment for people to choose something greater. So I will do, most of the time I'm not doing it from get out of the way or I'm going to kill you, but if it's required, I'm going to kill you. If you don't get it, that you don't stay in my way, because I'm not stopping. I know that. But most of the times, yeah, it's not required to do that. And I am committed to it. I know that my kids cannot stay my way. Nobody can. If they want to go with me, they will go with me. And if they don't, they have choices.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a point of view that I have to be their mom. And that's what gives them the choice to go on this journey with me, you know, and they love it. So
yeah. And just to be clear, when we talk about killing, we don't talk about literally killing the people. It's just about taking their energy out of our universe. Please don't think that we're condoning violence or killing people.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I was just about to do it because I've been around Access people. But yeah, you guys just like clear the energy of that people, so that people move around from me or lives your life. So yeah. So that's not killing like literally the word killing, I guess.
Thank you for that clarification. I didn't even think about it.
It was really really strong what you were saying, and I didn't want to interrupt you, and I guess Andrea neither. So, but yeah, it's really amazing how your worldview and your perspective of what you wanted since really early stages of your life, because you were just making choices since you were 15 years old, because you changed countries, you changed your reality there, and then all of the things went one after another, and all of your decisions have been like really shifting around the world, or your world in that case, because you went from one place to another, and it was literally like extremes, because you were changing, and that's cool. Because I don't know if I know anyone who is like not afraid of that big of a change.
Well, there is another thing too, that nothing went according to the plan. Nothing, going to college was not according to what my decisions were. Moving to Germany was not. I was supposed to go to Canada. Moving to Houston was never part of the plan. So none of those big things were part of what I thought were my decisions. You said it correctly, because it's not a choice, it was a decision. I said, I'm gonna do this in order to get to what I want, and it's never that way. We think that that's how we create, but when you ask for something, the universe knows better than you, and it's gonna deliver. And I put a lot of resistance into that, you know. And
oh, really?
I fought me. It was me against me. Was what we call now in Access was the avoiding and defending mechanism, you know. Like, I want this, but I don't want it, but I'm gonna create something that's gonna stop this, you know. So I put a lot of energy, most of my energy, into stopping me. And it's very interesting because last November or October, I was in Croatia for the Maestro class, and I was there with a lady from Access, and I was telling her some of my stories, and she said, well, imagine, Catalina, if you created this much in your life by mostly putting most of your energy into stopping you, imagine now that you have the awareness and you have the tools, and how much more you can create when actually you are not stopping you.
Okay. Yeah. I think that is pretty good, because most of the times, and I think both of you, I mean, said it like how it is, like we decide what is best for us and where we want to go and what we want to choose and what our life has to look like and what our financial situation has to look like and who we're going to be with and how our business is going to work. Like, we decided. We don't ask for it, and we just go like, it's going to go inside this box and this other thing is going to go inside this other box. But then something changes, and then you go like, that's not what I wanted, you know, go like a little bit like crazy potato. But
it's not what I decided I wanted.
Exactly. And one of the things that I don't know if Dane has said it or someone has said it, that our imagination and our mind are actually a limitation. And
yes.
What we decided that is the greatest thing or the greatest possibility, sometimes it's just like a grain in the beach, you know, like a grain of sand in the beach, or what can actually be possible. And I love that what this lady told you in the maestro class, because it went like, whoa, what if we stop fighting ourselves and fighting for what we have decided is the correct or the right way, or the, I don't know, whatever thing you want to put here to do, and we just go like, okay, this is how things are going, like what else can we do, what else is possible, where do we move on from here, like what else can I create? And I think that your life is a pretty cool representation of that, mine as well, and I think Gaby's as well, because all of our lives are not where we thought we would be and what we thought that we would be doing. Like, I know mine is not that, but it is greater, and I'm having so much fun with it that I go like, holy hell, what did I thought I wanted, what I wanted in the past?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I know I would never chosen Houston, that is for sure.
Yeah.
When we came here, we said, we're going to stay for 2 or 3 years. And it's been 16 years. And it's a wow. For me, it's wow, universe. Thank you for never listening to my limited points of view and limited decisions, not choices.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you said, Andrea, about how we limit ourselves, yes, like right now I'm asking, because I realized that there are things that didn't work out for me, and I realized I was in those areas, I was choosing from other people's realities. Us having this level of awareness we think is our reality, and it never is. So I'm asking, what are the infinite possibilities for my future life and living? And I'm asking for clarity with what is my reality, what works for me, what is true for me, and choose from there. Because I'm not even completely aware what is true for me, and just let the universe show me and gift me, and you know.
Yeah. And one of the things that I get might be like, oh, what are you talking about? Is that the willingness to be out of control, because we are taught to control, like this is A that goes to B, and then B goes to C, and then you can see the dotted lines that take you from A to B, and then here we go, and we go like, I'm going to be out of control. So you take the wheel, universe, and I'm just going to be here working and required of me to take me and to create the life that I really, really, truly desire. But to do that and to be able to create that, just to be willing to be out of control, that's like what may seem like a small step is like a very huge step into creating it. That's my take on that.
And it's one of the hardest.
Yeah.
Because this reality is teaching us how to control, how to be controlled, and how to control. And that's limiting us the most.
Yeah.
It's actually stopping us from creating what we truly desire.
Yeah. And another thing you said before, and it comes like, I think for me in my mind is like, okay, so I'm going to be out of control, but then we have this invitation to create from relaxation, which is another thing that is so out of this world. And one of the things that I've heard said, and I'm not really sure who said it, that being in relaxation doesn't mean just waiting. Like you can have patience, but it doesn't actually mean that you have to wait to do like nothing. So can you expand a little bit on that? Because for me, creating for relaxation is still kind of new and kind of like, but I feel like I'm doing nothing.
No, it's not doing nothing. Exactly. You put a request out there, you ask, and let the universe reshuffle itself, and also be ready to take action whenever the universe is delivering to you, and recognize the energy of what's this going to create for me if I choose this. Waiting is, we had this conversation before. I would be patient, and then I would go from patience to waiting.
Yeah.
And it was the moment that I was getting frustrated, and then I would ask, where am I misidentifying this as that? Because waiting is not wanting to go out of your comfort zone, and because it feels to take action, it's very so you have a situation, you put ask, and then the universe is sending you like messages, energies, and you recognize the energy, and you are still, then you start the waiting thing. When you think, oh, it's not light. Well, isn't it light, or are you misidentifying light and uncomfortable as heavy? That's one of my awarenesses lately, that I started waiting, and then I would become angry, and then you recognize what's going on here. You know, what is this? And then I recognize, oh, well, it's kind of time for me to get out of my comfort zone and take action. Not say, oh, this is being patient. No, that was waiting. That was, okay, well, let me stay a little bit longer in my comfort zone and let the universe do the work.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was, and as I'm speaking, actually, I'm getting more and more aware myself.
Yeah. I just got awareness right now of something that it's happening, and that I keep just like, it keeps appearing like from anywhere where I go, like, I don't know, like things, people, messages, or I don't know, like it's like really weird, and I wasn't even looking for it, or I don't know, like making it happen or whatever. It just like appeared from nowhere, and I wasn't looking for it. And then you're saying that, and I'm just like blowing my mind right now, because I got that awareness that maybe it's something that I have to act on.
Yeah. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
One of the biggest killers, you know. We want to change, but we love our comfort zone. And we want to be aware of it.
Yeah, we tend to be very fond of our comfort zone, and to be fond of what we know. Like we prefer, one of my favorite sayings, and Gabby won't let me lie, is that being uncomfortable in the ¿cómo es? Estando cómodo o incómodo. Yeah. Comfortable in what's uncomfortable. Sorry, I had to do it in Spanish because my mind is kind of like, oh. So being comfortable in what we know it's uncomfortable. And our comfort zone might get to be uncomfortable, but it is an uncomfortable thing that we know. So it's comfortable for us to stay there. Does that make sense?
I'm not following you.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that. So
not relevant to me.
yeah, exactly. It's not even true for you
exactly.
anymore.
We go in our mind a little bit now.
Yeah.
So what I realize is with the comfort, I love getting out of my comfort zone. Just many times I'm aware that I am in there. And when Gary and Dane say, ask questions, the moment you ask questions, the universe are going to give you awareness. It's going to give you awareness. So the only way to get awareness and realize I'm in my comfort zone with this thing, which I want to change, you know, you ask questions and then you get awareness. And the other thing is like that light and uncomfortable, that uncomfortable is at, for me right now, is at a much higher intensity than it was in the past, because I'm looking for a much greater future than I've created so far, you know, and I'm more present and I'm also more aware of other people's worlds and seeing what is my truth, what is the light that I'm buying from others. And so it's all that, like really being present and being in the question and not going into conclusion. That's another killer that I've realized. I would get some awareness and then I would go and define it. And that's when we limit the creation, because we go to, Andrea, you just said that, right? Like there are so many possibilities.
Yeah.
And why would we go into our little minds and little what we know, or even our dreams, my wildest dreams? I mean, everything I've created goes way beyond my wildest dreams. And I dream wild, really wild.
Yeah. And one of the things that I got to acknowledge that is that our dreams are still a limitation, because they would go as far as our mind goes.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And our minds are kind of limited and not as expansive and as, you know, rich, if you want to call it that way, as the universe. So yeah, that takes me back to my crazy phrase that made no sense to you. And I love that it doesn't make any sense to you, because it is so out of your reality that when I say that being comfortable in the uncomfortable is that some people choose not to live what they are uncomfortable because it's something that they know. And I'd rather be with the devil that I know than with the devil that I don't know. So yeah, you are an invitation to create more.
Yeah. There is another thing that I just realized. There is what our mind knows, and then my wildest dreams, and then even beyond my wildest dreams, but those are my creations that are beyond my wildest dreams, right? My past, beyond my reality. And I realized I would go and say, oh, I'm gonna duplicate Hamburg, because Hamburg was an amazing creation for me. And then I go, why would I duplicate Hamburg? Let me create beyond that, you know? Houston, let me outcreate my Houston creation. This has been a phenomenal creation, phenomenal. And what did it take to have more? Way more than that. So not even going into beyond our wildest dreams and our, you know, beyond these reality creations. I want to go beyond, like infinite possibilities.
Yeah, and I love it, because you are looking for it and you are aware of it. And one of the things that I love is that we tend to want to go back to the great places that we've known or created. And what you said is like a super huge inspiration, because you go like, oh, that's fantastic. Now, what more? What else can I create? Like, I cannot duplicate that as much as I try. And I want that won't be a possibility, because that was then in that time. And you were that Carolina in that time, and you're completely different now.
Of course. I mean, of course. You're not crazy to go back. recreate that. But it was the energy of that. And I said, what did it take for me to have that and much more? And I said, no, forget that. Way more than that, way more. I mean, we're here to really change the world by inspiring, by empowering others, by being us, by being what is true for us. And that's what I'm going with. I'm having fun. And I'm asking for a lot of money to change whatever is required to be whatever is required. I can change the world with or without money, and I'm going to change it more with money, with a lot of money. And when I say money, it's for me, money has never been the number one thing. It's always been, I'm asking for this and this and this. And that involves, I require some money in order for those to actualize. Like money is the byproduct of whatever I desire to create in my life and in the world and for my future.
Yeah. So we're going to leave you guys with that, because that for me was like, I'm going to have some of that. So thank you so much, Catalina, for joining us, for being what you be in the world, and for choosing more for you and for everybody. Like, thank you for that. Thank you, Gaby, for another fantastic episode. And I'm going to switch quickly to Spanish right now. Así que gracias a todos por venir a otro episodio. Gracias, Catalina. Gracias, Gaby, por otro episodio tan increíble. Ya saben, lo mismo, comenten abajo, díganos qué es lo que piensan, qué es lo que quieren, qué es la invitación que desean, temas y quieran que hablemos en los comentarios, tanto de YouTube como del podcast. Así que aquí vamos a estar. So you can comment, add, or tell us what you want for the podcast, for now, for this creation, and for the future. So thank you so much for this. Thank you for being you and for being here with me.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Gaby, it was a pleasure, an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, me too. For me too. Nice to meet you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.